Hello and welcome to another Wardy's Weekly Waffle Farm Update. We start this week by looking at the Red Arrows. I had an NFU county meeting last week and I got chatting to Red 8, one of the pilots, and it's just fascinating what the Red Arrows get up to. Really interesting hour we had there. We're also looking at reorganising the farm workshop. We bought some racking, so we're having a complete sort out in there, making it a lot more organised. I've also blocked up some field entrances this week and some gateways with some concrete tyres. And I went to London on Wednesday wearing my Forage Aid hat. That's the charity I started a few years ago when the snow and floods were on, and went to a Prince's Countryside Fund event in London. So that was interesting as well. We have a crop update we're featuring this week, looking at one or two of the fields of wheat we've established and the cover crops as well. And also we've loaded out quite a few loads of winter wheat and loads of malting barley. Now, yeah, they were sold quite a while ago. The winter wheat was sold probably over a year ago and it went out at £160 a tonne, but at the time it was good money. And yes, I know today you could sell it, you could get a lot more than that, but you could also have got a lot less than 160. And the malting barley we're loading out, I think that was sold out at 205. So again, that's lower than if you had it on the open market, but that was on a contract with Frontier. Anyway, thank you to Manitou, because we have got a forklift on the farm at the moment, and thank you to Farmstar, our local dealer, for loaning us this machine. You remember the transmission on ours developed a hole in it, and that is currently being looked at. I think the latest on that is ZF, who manufactured the transmission in Germany, want it back untouched, so I can't see us having our forklift back for quite a few weeks. But thank you to Manitou and Farmstar. We've got this loan machine that we're able to use. So thank you very much for that. That's very much appreciated. And while we were loading, Tom had a little bit of a mishap. No harm done, nobody injured, but yeah, you'll just see what Tom did when he was loading one of the lorries of wheat. Anyway, we'll leave it with that. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy this week's update. Click like, click subscribe if you do, and here we go. I'm with Damo, Red 8 from the Red Arrows. We just had about an hour talking about the Red Arrows and what goes on above in the airs above us. So Damo, just looking at the Red Arrows and agriculture, do you notice what goes on below you in the fields? Because the RAF is synonymous with Lincolnshire. Agriculture is a big part of Lincolnshire. Do you understand, or do you actually see what goes on below you when you're flying?
Yeah, we do. We actually use a lot of what's on the ground as features for flying around, or in Scotland especially, and we use it in the very early days, seeing the woods on the field, and then as the season develops, seeing the different colours on the ground, and kind of as the crops grow or farm. And actually, that makes a big difference to what we're doing. And actually, when crops are being farmed and obviously birds are up there, that actually causes sometimes issues for us. So we actually know certain times of the year we try to avoid certain areas because that field is being farmed, the bird scarer will see that's happening. So actually all the farming that's going on around Lincolnshire plays a massive part in what we do.
And so the colours obviously the smoke colours that you put out, obviously do they change at all with the colours with the times of the year or the colours on the ground?
No, the colours that we put out, we actually train with just the white for the majority of our training, because we're not quite at the level to be using the red, white and blue yet, the iconic red, white, blue of Great Britain. So actually we only go to the coloured smoke once we go overseas to do our spring cold training, which is over in Greece, and then when we come back we're into the summer season. So it's just white for the training in Lincolnshire.
And you were just explaining a minute ago about the canopy, about the markings on the canopy, actually. Just explain those, because I think that's interesting. Because when you see photographs of close-ups, you always see those markings on the canopy, and interested to see what they are.
Yeah, so the canopy on the hawk, for an ejection, rather than the canopy coming off and ejecting effectively after the canopy is left, we actually eject through the canopy. So rather than ejecting through that solid structure, the cord and the lines that you talk about actually shatter the canopy, and then we go through the hole that's been made for the shatter.
So I think I wondered at first whether it was markings to help you with your manoeuvres, but they're not. You pick up other areas on your aircraft to do that.
Yeah, there's other areas on the aircraft that we use for the manoeuvres. Lots of different ones. The markings on the canopy, the MDC that you talk about, we do sometimes use that, but only for one or two different manoeuvres because it's actually really hard to see, especially when you've got the sun out and it's glare off the canopy. So we very rarely use it, maybe once or twice, but mainly it's other parts of the aircraft.
And the Hawk aircraft, has it ever been used in combat at all? Is it just a training aircraft?
No, it's the Hawk aircraft is a training aircraft. It was designed as a two-seater trainer, pure flying in the back, so the instructor in the back, the student pilot in the front, and it was always used as the advanced fast jet trainer.
Right, and the amount of hours you have, how many flying hours do you need before you can actually sort of become a pilot, a Red Arrow?
So we ask for 1,500 fast jet hours before you apply to become a Red Arrow, and then you're obviously going to start that application. People in the team have probably from 1,500 up to 3,500 hours, so quite a varied amount.
So you have to do some laps of combat, do you, before you can actually become a pilot?
Yeah, it's you have to have been an operational pilot before applying to the Red Arrows, because you are a full-time regular in the military, so you have to have done that part of the job before you become.
So where were you serviced? Where's active service for you?
So Coningsby, Lincolnshire.
Yeah, and have you been in any abroad in any?
I've done operations overseas with the Air Force.
Yeah. Oh, great. All right, Damon. Thanks ever so much. Really interesting. Thank you.
In the display, so 8 times our body weight. What that means is our blood weighs 8 times what it normally does. So when we're sat in a seat and our blood weighs 8 times its normal, it just wants to go away from our brains. It just wants to pull down into our feet. That's really bad because if there's no blood in your brain, you're going to pass out, which is what we call G-lock. So the safety equipment fitters look after our G-pants, and what our G-pants do is they inflate whenever we pull G, so they squeeze, and they squeeze our tummies, they squeeze our legs. In it, it's capable of supersonic flight, Mach 1.2, and it can go up to about 48,000 feet. We don't normally take it to those kind of extremes in a display because, first of all, if we've got 48 grand, you're not going to see us. 1.2 Mach drops a boom, people get upset when you drop a boom because that kind of shatters windows and makes babies cry. So we fly around at about 350 to 400 knots, so you're looking at about 4 to 450 miles an hour is about the speed we do for a display. We do a formal interview, so that is the first time in my life for 15, apart from the interview to the Air Force, it's the first time I've actually done an interview. So that was very nerve-wracking. We do media and camera tests just to see if this person has a core skill of being put in front of a camera and asked all the questions. The most important though is the bottom two. Social engagement and peer assessment. Whoever we select to come into the team will go around the world and they will be in every single social environment you can imagine. They will be in the local pub down the road from the hotel we're staying in. There will be an ambassador's reception. They need to be able to handle themselves in all different areas. We ply them with that stuff because it's really important. It doesn't matter that they can drink or not, that's not important in the slightest, but what is important is that they can make sure that they don't take too much of that and then they absolutely fool themselves, know their limits. If somebody comes to the team and doesn't want to drink, that's absolutely fine. They know their limits, they don't drink or they don't want to, but we do this because this is quite a good enabler and it lubricates to find out who people really are, because even in a week-long interview people can hide a little bit of their true self, whereas we get them very tired, we get them socialising with everybody from the most junior engineer right up to possibly chief of the air staff and see how they go. Person in that line, I'm not looking at the Red 6 who's there, I'm not looking at Red 4 who's there, I'm not looking at Red 2 who's right in front of me. They're all 6 feet away from me. I'm looking at Red 1 who's about 15 feet away from me at that point, because he's the only guy in the right place. So if I'm looking at somebody there and he's bouncing around all the references and trying to be in the right place, I'm going to be chasing him all over. So the way we fly formation is we're always looking at Red 1, and it is all just pilot flying. The way we fly manoeuvres, however, is not just watching by eye. I mean, we know where we're meant to be by looking. We have references. We triangulate our position using 2 or 3 references to know we're in the right place. But if we waited to react, then we'd be what we call behind it. So the boss would go, and then we'd go. And you imagine a big long wing of aircraft like in Phoenix, which was on the video, it'd be this waggle. And what we actually want is this nice straight wing. So the way that works is we listen to the boss. So the boss says, for turning right, the boss will say metronomically, coming right now. He'll start his manoeuvre on the now. As red 8, right on the outside, as soon as the boss says coming, I have to start moving because I'm so far out, I have to be moving my aircraft before he's even done his. 4, who's on the inside of me, has to go a little bit after what I do with less of an input, and then 2 kind of a little bit behind that. So we have to know the show inside out because I've not even heard right, but I need to know it's turning right. So we know we have to learn that 22-minute show, and there's 3 different types of the shows as well. You have to know it off by heart, and also know it off by heart with 7 different loser plots when somebody's not there. So no, there's no automation. Smoke is all us doing it in cockpit. It's all just flying, listening to the boss, and that's where the trust comes. I'm trusting that the boss is going to go the way that he's always gone. I'm also trusting that everybody else in the formation is going to do that manoeuvre and go the way that he's always gone. So yeah, there's no automation. Might be good for the season. And then people get their dibs on jets first. So red 6 and 7, who do the more dynamic, high-speed crossing, because they need the power, they get their first dibs. I then get the next one as 8 because I do a lot of high-speed, high-G manoeuvring, and I'm the XR. 9 then gets the next one because he does the same as me, but he's not the XR, so that I'll call trumps on him. And then boss, red 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we all kind of pick our own jet. And that's the ideal, is that's the jet. I mean, that's the jet that our name goes on the side, that's the name our circus goes on the side. They all do fly very differently.
So you'll see behind me another Manitou. We've been lent a 635 140 Vario. This is the same transmission as ours that failed last week. But thank you to Manitou and to Farmstar for getting us sorted with one. Yes, it's only a 6 metre, but we've only got lorries to load, which I think we can do it. We have got a smaller bucket here that we can use, so I think that's going to be okay. So thank you both, Manitou and Farmstar. You've been brilliant on this. Hopefully we'll get sorted with ours. Update on that is that ZF would like the transmission back at their place, which I think is Germany, not touched, so they can see what's gone wrong with it. So we'll keep you updated on there. So you'll see our workshop is in a bit of a mess at the minute. That's because we're replacing the racking. We had some racking at the back corner there that went all along that back wall, and these cupboards are at the back as well with this racking, but you can see it's not very strong, quite thin. All these parts were on it, and the racking wasn't really strong enough. You can see there that's actually collapsed, and that's got rams and legs from our Simba equipment on it. Anyway, what we've done, we've bought some more racking, some more sort of heavy duty warehouse racking. We're going to put it at the back here and sort all this lot out. It's on these pallets here because some of it we don't need. We've got some legs there off an old chisel plough as well, but we're going to sort all this out, put some fresh racking at the back and sort that out. Also, our fuel bowser, we've had problems with it this last summer with dirt inside it, and it's a homemade one. It was made by Housemans, actually, the people that make the sprayers. Years ago, just before they started making sprayers, they were a village blacksmith, and they made this bowser for us. But the thing is, it's got baffles inside. It's got one baffle somewhere there, and it's got another one about there somewhere. But the problem is you can't get from one to the other. There's only a minute hole at the bottom. There's only one lid in the top there, and so we've got dirt inside it, but we've got a drain plug at the back corner, so we've got to actually cut the top out the bowser to get in to make the holes inside the baffles bigger, so we can actually flush the inside out better. So that's what we're going to do. We've got the engine off there as well because it wants a seal kit, so we're going to get that repaired as well. So quite a few jobs to do, but yeah, this workshop's looking a mess at the minute because we've just fetched everything off those back shelves. This is an old sort of Dutch barn. You can see there the curved roof. We're going to reclad it. You can just see daylight there coming in. We're going to reclad it sometime and just make it much better, but put a lean-to on the back. Anyway, this building we tend to use for bits of machinery that we don't know what to do with and keep dry, and we're going to put some more racking up right across there, all the way right down to that far end of the shed. Just tidy this up a bit. We've got some bird food here. This is where one of the hoppers that we fill the drill with. but we mix our bird food up in there. Anyway, we've got a whole load of spares and stuff at the back here that we acquired when Simba and Horsch parted company, before Simba stopped making machinery. Used to do an awful lot of work with Simba's, development work, talk at conferences abroad, have farmer visits over here as well, and so I had a very, very good relationship with them, hence a lot of our Simba machinery was still in use and still really good, and I'll go through that another time. But we've got a whole load of rams here, look, just various bits, some A-shares off some their machinery, off their Tirano I think. We've got some here. We've got some drill filling augers, 2 drill filling augers as well. But all this we're going to be selling. Load of tines here. There's a top offer. There's a Terra Grip top, spring there, some points, all sorts of stuff here. We've got Long's Horsch drill parts here as well. So yeah, we're going to be sorting all these out, putting them on the racking, and then we'll know what we've got. But yeah, awful lot of parts here. Look for this is a Kuhn Aero pneumatic spreader. It's 20 metres wide. It's quite old, but we do keep it and look after it. We use it for putting granular fertiliser on grassland and things like that, and small areas, and cover crops as well with spread on, and really good spreader. And they stopped making these, Kuhn did a while ago, but we still keep this and look after it, and it's a really good spreader. And obviously there we've got a Pottinger 6-row tedder for our haylage. But yeah, we're going to get all this lot cleaned out, this shed, and get it sorted and put on the racking. Some windows there from the house that we're in the middle of demolishing. We're going to put those on eBay if anybody wants them. It seems a shame to bin them. Well, that's it. I'm about to leave London now. I've been at the Prince's Countryside Fund event and just leaving King's Cross, and this station is just fantastic, and the structure of this roof that you've seen behind me is unbelievable. So thank you to everybody at the PCF for the invitation tonight, and meeting so many people that we have regular Zoom calls with, and these on-screen online calls are great for saving time, but you can't beat face-to-face meetings. And tonight I've met lots of people who I've had regular Zoom calls with over the last couple of years, and it's great to put a face to a name. But thank you to the Prince's Countryside Fund for everything you do in the countryside and also in agriculture, and for the wonderful support you give to the charities, and for all the help you give, because the challenge is ahead. We need to be all working together. So thank you. I'm on this borrowed Manitou at the minute, and we can definitely notice the difference in reach. This is only 6 metres and ours is 9, but it's better than having nothing at all. So it's great. Thank you, Manitou and Farmstar. And I'm just moving some of these concrete tyres. We've got quite a few of these made, and got the idea of these from my pal Ollie, who some of you watch his videos across in Liverpool, Merseyside. Just having a closer look at these. We've got various sizes. This is a tractor tyre with a smaller implement tyre in the top of the loop, just concreted in. And we've got other ones like that. That's a lorry tyre there with a car tyre in as a loop. And these smaller ones are ideal because we drive over them with a sprayer. So we'd have other gateways where we block them off so we can't get people running all over the crops and driving all over the fields. But we'll leave them like this so the sprayer can actually straddle the wheel like that and still go over it. We put them closer together on other gateways and other areas so that it stops cars going through. But there's so many gaps in the hedges up here on this farm, it's impossible to stop people driving all over the fields. There's no dikes up here at all. It's free draining soil, so there aren't any dikes. There's only 6 inches or 8 inches of soil and in into limestone. And you can just see there's gaps in the fields everywhere. It's one of my neighbours here. There's just gaps dotted around here. We've all got gaps in the hedges. It's just the nature of what it is up here on this farm, on this soil type. This is the rented farm that I've got a Agricultural Holdings Act tenancy on. It's a 3-generation tenancy, and I'm the 2nd generation. The problem we've got on this farm is it's so open, and we've got tracks down to another one of our concrete beat pad storage areas down there. But the problem we've got here is that this up here is the road to a quarry, and we get 8-wheeler quarry lorries parking on these lanes and in the gateways, stopping us getting in with the machinery. But also 8-wheeler lorry drivers are terrible at cutting corners, and instead of pulling in properly, they'll cut in the corner up there on the grass verge, and you can just see here straight away what they've done. The holes they create. We like to keep all our lanes and all our entrances nice and tidy and in good condition. And you come out of here with grain trailers. You've got a hole there. The trailer rocks if you fill it quite full and it spills grain. So we have to come along with tarmac planings. We have to buy them ourselves just because the lorries park on here for the brakes and things. And they'll just cut the corners off here and leave a mess. So we tend to block them off here. But also one or two other farms we've got, one or two other areas we try and block gateways off with these concrete tyres. We have some winter wheat going out today. So thank you also to Farmstar and Manitou for the loan of this forklift while our transmission's been sorted. The relationship we have with both of you is fantastic, much appreciated. Just shows the value of working together, so thank you for that. This machine is a 6 metre, 3.5 tonne capacity, whereas ours is 9 metre, 4 tonne capacity. So we're using our same bucket, but we're not filling it as full. And it normally holds 2.5 tonnes, but we're only putting about 2 tonnes or just under in this situation. So just showing you in this heap. We've still got quite a bit to go out. You can see now, looking at the heap, it was full to the door, this shed was. Just see the drying floor. We've got the grills there, we'll let the air through under the crop. And the fans are up there, blows the air into the tunnel under the floor, and we'll look at that in detail another day. So, regarding that little mishap Tom had, this is what happened. I don't think he'll be doing that again, but it just shows the value of having concrete. We've got all this yard concreted. In my view, when you do something like this, you only do it once, you do it properly, and it lasts a lifetime. So thank goodness we had all that concrete. But yeah, good one, Tom. We're loading malting barley out today. There's about 3 or 4 loads left in this shed. It's going to the brewery at Burton-on-Trent, and that's where Carling and Grolschlager is brewed. And we normally grow quite a lot of malting barley, spring crops. We've eased off a little bit the last few years because we have got on top of blackgrass. I'll just let this go past. And this year though, the yields weren't very good of malting barley. In fact, all our spring crops were poor. We only averaged 6.7 tonnes per hectare, which is probably 2 tonnes per hectare lower, or even 3 tonnes per hectare lower than where we'd normally be. And the reason for that, I'm sure, was because of April. We didn't plant the crops until the 20th of March, somewhere in that region. But in April, we had 23 nights of frost. And so instead of the crops coming through the ground in early mid-April, they didn't germinate, and we didn't see them in rows until end of April, early May. And I'm sure that lack, or the loss of a month of the growing season, really contributed towards the poor yields. So anyway, obviously the price of that as well isn't bad at the moment, but this was on a contract, and we've ended up getting £205 per tonne, whereas open contract malting barley, or rather malted barley on the open market, at the moment is about £250 a tonne. But this is the problem with the grain trade and markets. It's nearly like putting your money on the horses. It's just pot luck on the day. But at that money, we're still making a margin, but with the lower yield, and obviously our cost of production is a bit higher with that lower yield. And I haven't worked that out yet, but I will go through those figures. We use a leaf blower to clear up the grain. Much better than a brush, much quicker. Thank you also to Manitou and Farmstar for the loan of this forklift while our transmission's being sorted. We are not filling the bucket quite as full as normal because this forklift we're using at the moment is less capacity. It's only 6 metre 3.5 tonne, whereas ours is a 9 metre 4 tonne, so we're just going a bit light on the bucket. Quite a lot of dust obviously in barley, there usually is. You can see these bars on this lorry, on this sheet. There's an electric motor just there. Most of these lorries now have hydraulic electric easy sheets, so the driver doesn't have to get on and pull a sheet off or even do it from the side. Just flicks a switch in the cab, and there we have the hydraulic reservoir just there and a pulley on that side. And here's the motor, and these arms here just pull the sheet over. Really easy and safe. The weigher on the lorry is 26.7 tonnes on here. Just see now we're putting some more in. You can just see that going up. The normally one's about 29 tonnes, so he wants a little bit more in here. But we'll pop him on the weigh bridge to get a final weight and a weigh ticket. That's the alarm going to show that it's full. 29,100. The lorry has weighed empty. He's now just pulling around onto the weigh bridge. There. We'll get a proper weigh ticket so we know exactly what goes off the farm. We sample every load here. We don't have to go up on the lorry to sample it. There's a suction on the end of that probe and it goes into the tube there. And it drops into the bucket. Then Tom and Ruben can sample it, test the moisture, so that if it gets to the destination and there's a problem with it, we've got our own sample to check. There's the sheet now, going back over electrically and hydraulically. Total weight of the lorry and the load. Twist it in. Thank you very much. There you go. Thank you. There's the weigh ticket. Not printing very high, but there we are. 29 dead on. It says here it's sold to haulier. Booking contract number. Moisture's dead on 15%. Then we have the sample in a bag already. So we've got the weighbridge number so we can cross-check it, the date. So that now is a representative sample of the lorry that is just waiting to go out the gate. Having a quick look at one or two fields, and this is wheat planted after sugar beet, and this was the one that was planted around about the, was it 10th or 12th of October. Sugar beet lifted in September, so looking really good. Then this field here was lifted in November, first part of this early November, but not happy with the water stood in this corner here. Really with the, I know we've had quite a lot of rain in the last week, probably around 25-30 millimetres rain every single day, but still no excuse for having this. So yeah, I don't really like to see water stood about, even in the corners of the fields. It's not good, and I know this is heavy land, but that's not really any excuse. This field is covering spring beans, and you can see the glyphosates work really well. Killed off all the volunteer wheat and the black grass, and the broadleaf weeds is what we want, so that's good. And then next door field here, complete opposite, lovely crop of wheat planted again about the 5th or 10th of October. I haven't got the exact dates in my head at the moment. after spring beans. So again, looking really well. Then out the other window, this is the field that we've got in our long-term cover crop trial. You can just see there's a lot of volunteer barley there, but there is some obviously cover crop, vetch, phacelia, radish and things in it, but we'll leave that. That's coming spring barley. And then just looking around here, just carry on round the farm tracks. That field there in front of us is the one that we always, that field there, we always compare to the cover crop field there for cost, yields and everything, and that's our, we get some interesting data out comparing these two. And at the minute, this field here in a non-cover crop and non-direct drilling situation always outperforms in yield and gross margin money returns, always outperforms this one next door with a cover crop. And that's part of our aim with these trials, to see which is which and which performs best. So back in the workshop, just looking at the racking that we're now slowly putting together. And this is all the ramble that was on the old racking. We're clearing this out, sorting out. A lot of this will be thrown out and scrapped. It's amazing how much you keep over the years. And here is the new racking we're putting up. So we're just only going to put 3 shelves on this one, put it back to the wall. And this will just be for wearing parts of machines and spares and bolts and things like that. Whereas the other shed, as I explained a little while ago, we're going to put a full set of racking in there for spares and stuff on pallets and all that horse equipment and horse spares. But yeah, this will be much better and tidy up the workshop when we've got it done. But it will be good to get it all done. Nice heater here. I bought this heater at a sale in Scunthorpe. We used to go to some auction houses in Scunthorpe, and I paid I think it's about £300 for this heater, and it's one of those really good, do they call it Wilms, I think they call it. I can't see the make on it now, but yeah, really good heater, works off diesel, so it's really good. Here's a load of scrapers off our Simba equipment, off discs. Some legs there that the subsoiler legs go off, and some spanners that we've adjusted and made, altered and made, and so all sorts of stuff. Shims. So all this lot's going to go on the racking, and there's the old racking looking a bit worse for wear. And we've got, this is the uprights, what's going in the other shed. There's a load of free flow drill tines, a load of other spares that all got to be sorted out and put on that racking at the back. So that's it for this week. If you enjoyed the update, please click like, click subscribe, and any questions, please ask. I'll do my best to answer them. So until next week, it's goodbye from me. Now, where's Frankie? Frankie!